p.m.
I will do
And,
attendance.
Yep,
Rebecca,
here.
John,
Yes.
and Ron is here.
Yep,
So,
and we got Andrea here too.
We have Andrea. Andrea is an attorney, so I believe I do not have to swear her in.
Yeah, I'm a
According to
commissioner of the Superior Court, so everything I tell you has to be the truth. I don't know.
So help you
Okay.
God.
Who
You
knew?
can swear me in if you like, though. I don't know. If we go to court, I have
No,
to get sworn in
no.
sometimes if I'm a witness. So it's up to you.
All right, I guess we won't swear you since you're a really honest person. Okay.
I'll try.
That's right. So basically, this meeting is just to hear your side of the story and see what you have to tell us. And we did get your paperwork. I haven't been over all the comparables because we kind of passed them around, haven't made it to me yet. But you have the floor.
Okay, so I apologize. My pellet stove's a little loud in the background. Can you hear me okay?
I
Yes.
can. Yes.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that my husband was hoping to join me, but our babysitter got sick at the last minute and couldn't watch our 4-year-old. So it's just me. You're stuck with me. But and we're really happy to be in Woodstock, regardless of the outcome of this hearing, meeting, whatever. But we just thought we would inquire, as it were, as to how the town had arrived at its value, and maybe that's not something you can answer for us. But I had presented some comparables. I had spoken with an appraiser, and she had pulled up some properties for me. She said that generally, if a report is prepared, that appraisers work within a 1-year window of the date of the appraisal. And so that's why some of the dates are from 2015 and also 2016. She said that also, as is the custom and practice of appraisers, that that Pomfret and Woodstock are considered comparable, given the size of Woodstock, that sometimes that they look to Pomfret. I don't know if you consider Pomfret properties at all when you're doing comparables or not. But I have given you 7 properties anyhow to look at. And basically, and again, I tried to keep them as close to the reval year as possible. There wasn't a single property that had as much square footage as our house, which is formerly Taylor's Corner B&B. I don't know if you're familiar with the property. And we took it over, and we're the first owners in a couple of, I guess in a couple decades that aren't running a B&B. Well,
it's your private residence.
Yes, it's a private residence, and where the inn operators or innkeepers would reside is actually where my office is located. So zoning has come out and checked out the space and approved it all. And so anyhow, I did pull a number of comparable properties. Not one of them had a town appraised value anywhere near our town appraised value. We had appraised in 2016, the property appraised at $536,500. There's a typo in my notes. I said that none of the properties had valued in excess of $550,000. I meant that none of them had actually valued over $457,000. And so I presented properties ranging in value on comparable sales from $315,000 to $390,000. I know that the current year's or even 2020's evaluation or appraised value isn't relevant, but for what it's worth, when we purchased the property for $440,000, and when it was appraised for our purchase, it only appraised at $450,000. So I was hard pressed to understand why it would have, again, 4 years ago, have been at an appraised value of $536,000 and change, and depreciated over the last 4 years by about $100,000. So like I said, the packet I provided is fairly dense with information. The properties have, like I said, none of them, they're all older antique homes, either 18th or 19th century homes. One of them also was a former B&B. Even though they don't have the same square footage, they do have, some of them have significantly larger acreage. We have only 4.82 acres. Some of them had as much as 14.8 acres. Another one had 18 and a half acres. And again, all of these properties were appraised and sold for about $100,000 less than our house's appraised value. So I don't know if you have any questions of me or if that's not part of the protocol, but I just wanted to highlight for you the comparables that we came across. And I will also add that I know that there's a reval coming up. I haven't been a part of that process or even a part of an assessment appeal before. It's not what I do, but the condition of the house, even 4 years ago, I'm not sure where it was at, but the condition of the house, we have sills to replace. We have to replace all the clapboards. There's powder post beetles everywhere. I think that's, probably commonplace with a antique home, but there's significant renovations that need to be undertaken top to bottom with regard to the house. And so it's not even as if it's in stellar, pristine condition. So I think even if it were, I just can't even fathom that it would come in at the number that it was valued at in 2016. So
Okay.
that's
Thank
all I
you.
really have to say, I guess.
Now, did you approach the assessor about this? Did you talk to Emily directly at all?
I did not. I was under the impression that that there was the deadline for an assessment appeal, and that was the protocol.
Yeah.
And it actually kind of came up on me quickly. I didn't even know that it was when it was. So when I figured it out about a week before the deadline. So
yeah, when it comes up quick, that's what she usually does, is throw it to us. But it's helpful if you talk to her, because we'll go to her now and find out how the valuation was done. I don't know if it was still a bed and breakfast when the last reval was done.
It would have been, yes.
I believe it was.
Yeah, in which case they may have done it on the cash flow basis.
Oh.
Commercial properties, cash flow, they'll usually look at all three different valuations. They'll look at market, they'll look at the value of the materials and labor. And if it's a business, they'll look at the cash flow. So it could be that, I don't know. We'll have to go look.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's good to know.
Can you tell from the card, Rebecca, what class it was in?
I don't think so.
I mean, I can tell you that the last owners paid a significant sum for it. It's kind of interesting. They did pay, Kevin Ford and Brenda Van Dam paid $527,000 for it in 2005.
Yeah, that was the height of the market.
Right.
Yep.
The most significant renovation, I mean, it was really interesting. The most significant renovation for the property and restoration occurred in 96. And it doesn't seem as if all that much has been done since that time to the property, other than to make it more conducive for marketing as a bed and breakfast, and altering it from its historic aesthetic.
Yeah, yeah.
But beyond that, and so we're hoping to bring it back more so to the historic era, and make. My husband's a Finnish carpenter, so this is his wheelhouse. So I have a 10-year honey-do list. So I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, great. All the work we're going to do, well, we're going to do significant work before the next reval. I said, we won't stand a chance of the value not going up. But
yeah, when you pull a building permit, then eyes will turn in your direction.
That's
the reval is actually going to happen this year. So
right, I know.
Yeah, so you'll probably have somebody visiting.
Yep, that's
at some
fine.
point during the summer. Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, it's a very interesting property, as are so many of the homes in Woodstock. But
Mhm.
yeah, so anyway, we'll see. Yeah, so they did buy it for a high sum. They tried to recoup that number, but it was on the market quite a long time above the $500,000 mark, and there was no activity.
I would say a couple of years.
Yeah, so we
I
came
drive
back.
by there every day, so
Yeah.
I see the sign. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was for sale for a while.
Oh, really?
What year was the house built?
According to the property card, it says 1795, although we think it was much earlier. There's sections that were much earlier. And we were excited because on one of the oldest timbers in the basement, we found some initials of a coffin maker that was supposedly in the house in 1730. So
Wow. Yeah.
we think it goes further back, but
You might find information in the land records at the town hall.
yeah, that was the one
Yeah.
thing they did leave, was some information as to the title history.
Yeah.
But it was really one thing I never expected to find, and I discovered recently, was Mrs. Hope, who had owned the property in '96. Her purchase and sale agreement was recorded on the land records, and it was essentially a punch list for the sellers. And she had a punch list including the names of the contractors, the masons and the carpenters, and the very well-known and renowned contractors and tradesmen working on the house. And she went, I mean, it listed everything that she had done to the house. So we know at least everything that was like a 12-page document.
Yeah.
Itemizing every improvement that was done to the house in '96.
Nice.
So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and that's probably, a lot of the town records are, you can search them online, and that's probably all up there. Yeah.
Yeah, but they left for us most of the handwritten land records, and even those that when it harkened back to Massachusetts. But they didn't really leave anything else that came with the house, so to speak, or was part of the house.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, so we'll see what we can find out, and we'll be getting back to you. We have to settle everything by the end of March, but we'll probably get back to you sooner than that.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
Right.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you all.
Likewise.
Thanks.
I keep getting a phone symbol in the middle of my screen. Are you guys seeing the same?
Yeah, I'm wondering if somebody's trying to log on.
Okay.
That,
that what that is?
can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Noreen Stellick. I have, I can't figure out how to get on Zoom using a picture. So I have an appeal scheduled for 6:30, but I logged on earlier because Anthony told me that that there was only one person before me and that it might be before 6:30.
It's true, because she
So-
just finished up.
So if you're ready, I can talk about my appeal.
Yes, I think we're ready. Everybody
Yep.
agreed? Okay.
All
We
right.
have to swear you in. And just so you know, I'm Rebecca Hyde. I'm the chair, and Ron here's going to swear you in. He's the secretary, and that's John Davis, the third member.
Can you see our pictures?
No, I can't see anything. I could not use the link that Anthony provided me. It wouldn't, it was embedded in the Word document, and it wouldn't I couldn't treat it as a link. And so I had to call in, and I tried to click on the video thing, but it said that the telephone number doesn't support video. I mean, my phone does, but I have no idea. So I'm doing the best I can here. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
okay.
carry on. We'll be okay.
All right, we'll swear you in. Raise your
Okay.
right hand. Do you swear that all the information you are about to present is the truth, so help you God? Hello? Noreen?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you
Hello?
hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I said I do. I don't know if you heard that. I do swear
Okay,
that
Very
it's the
good.
truth. Okay.
you are officially sworn in.
So, okay. Um, I have to say, I heard the tail end of the other woman's presentation, and she said she didn't have much time. And I also didn't have a lot of time here because given I got this through the mail, and because of the delays in the mail, I didn't get this until, I don't know, a week or so before the deadline, something like that. Anyway, so the assessment is of a parcel that's described as 0000 Route 198. And all it is a 20th of an acre or something, a little triangle bounded by Hawkins Road to the southeast and Route 198 to the southwest, and separated from the larger property to its south by a stone wall. It's well, as I say, it's that 0.05 acres or something. It sits across from and has always been part of the single family house at 294 Route 198, which I also own. The parcel at issue contains the original hand dug well that served the house and lot. First, when that property was a one-room schoolhouse, and later the well continued to be in use when it was a single family house. So I think from reading the assessor's card that this parcel seems to have first been, quote, put on the rolls when I purchased the house and lot from my mother on September 9th, 2019. But I think that if the assessor's card for the house and lot, which is ID 3883, and I included that as Exhibit C in my submission, that assessor's card should have included this little parcel because it doesn't have independent value and it was never sold as a separate parcel because all it had on it was the well, even though it's across a state highway that was used as the well. So I think this, if in fact the assessor's card for the house and lot didn't include it, I think that was probably just a scrivener's error at the time that the card system was created, which I have no idea when that was. Because if you look at the original deed exhibit, which I attached as Exhibit A, the quitclaim deed that the town issued to my parents in, what was it, 1950, I guess. It includes the description of this little 0.05 parcel. On the second page, I highlighted it. The second page of Exhibit A. It says there's a triangular tract across Route 91, which I guess is the old name for Route 198, from the Valley School lot and has a well thereon. So it was included in the original parcel, and that's why I say I think that if it was not included on the assessor's card whenever those were created, that was just an error. So that's, I think, really the thing to keep in mind, that it should be included within that one parcel and it shouldn't have a separate valuation. The second thing I would like to point out is that I think the manner in which the assessor's office assessed the value is erroneous. They didn't get any kind of an appraisal, an independent appraisal. When I talked to the assessor, she indicated that they just reduced the price of whatever an acre would be by like 20. So if you do the math, that's what you get. But clearly that's not like a scientific way, or a way that you do an assessed value for any kind of a parcel. And it surely doesn't reflect the value of like an orphaned little parcel like this. It's so small, I cannot imagine, and because of the sightline with between the roads, I can't imagine, for example, that the town would allow me to put any kind of a shed or any kind of a structure on it because it's so small. I think that needs to be taken into account when you're trying to assess a value. But as I said, in the first instance, I don't think there should be any standalone value. The third thing is, I think that treating it as a separate parcel is fundamentally unfair, because since it's so small, and since all I can do is use it for open space, which honestly I'm happy to do, I'm happy to keep it mowed, and I have been. I mean, my mother wasn't able really to do that. But it's too small to be counted, to be classified as open space, because that's less than the minimum size of 2 acres. So it's like I'm being treated, it's like it's being assessed at a value for a per acre price for a building lot, but it isn't buildable or usable in any way except for planting. That's really all I have about that. I included in my statement the exhibits that I've referred to here. And so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I don't know how it got to be a separate parcel, but the people to talk to about that is the Planning and Zoning Department. Because I know sometimes people have 2 contiguous parcels and they want to combine them. And that's an issue that Planning and Zoning approves. So if
Right,
you
but
take,
all,
no, I'm saying not, you know, we're going to deal with this however we see fit. It seems like you have good arguments, but in the year to come, you may want to go over to the Planning and Zoning Department and talk to them about this and see what would it take to have it combined officially back into one parcel. Because from what you're saying, it ought to be one parcel.
well, what I don't understand is, how did it get
To be 2. Yeah,
I mean,
I
did somebody-
don't know either. But maybe
Well,
P&Z
that's
can
what
tell
I'm
you. Yeah.
The
Oh,
state
well,
road, this is John Davis, Noreen. I think the state road may explain why it's 2 parcels. I'm not sure you could describe a parcel that had through the middle of it a road. But I don't know. It's a good question.
Well, I understand that it is separated by a state road and has been for, I don't know, 75 years, 100. But the point is that the well was on, the original well is part of that. So it's not like it's an independent thing that can be, that anybody can do anything with. It's an historic thing that came with the house. That's why I appended the original deed.
Okay. And I'll ask the assessor, I understand it's being valued as a 20th of a buildable lot, but it seems like there ought to be another category for an unbuildable lot. So we'll talk to her, see what the deal is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I mean, I understand I have to pay on my total acreage, but I think that if the 2.3 acres that's the house and lot doesn't include that 0.05, then probably it should just be counted as 2.35. I think this is a unique situation given the historic use of the property of the little parcel.
Okay. Sounds good. I do think you probably should talk to the town clerk and to planning and zoning about this and try to find out how it got separated and what you can do to glue it back together. But
I see. Well, this is
Well-
the first I've been,
No, we'll deal with
this-
evaluation.
Yeah.
pardon? Right,
said
but this is
meanwhile,
the
yeah.
first notification I got from the town that it was being treated separately.
Okay.
I mean, my parents didn't pay a separate tax for that little parcel. And because I paid my mother's taxes, you know, as her power of attorney the last few years, if they didn't include this, this is new. They've treated it new. And I think that it came about when they noticed that that parcel was included as part of the sale price when I purchased the property. That's what I'm pointing out, that I think that was the impetus. But
Okay.
I can talk to zoning. There seems to be a lot of different committees that deal with some of these things.
Yeah, they deal with land use. We deal with valuation, so they all intersect somewhere, but yeah.
So,
Okay,
all right.
Thank you
All right.
for
Well,
your presentation.
all right. Well, thank you. Okay.
okay, we'll
Bye.
get back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I think we have Bill Sweet on the screen already.
You're muted, Mr. Sweet.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hi, I'm here. I filed an appeal on.
Bill, I have to swear you in first.
If you wish.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that all the information you are about to present is the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. I filed an appeal for the assessment for last year. The assessment apparently was based on my travel trailer being up there longer than 90 days. And I filled out the personal property form that was sent to me by the assessor's office, but I will say it came with absolutely no instructions. And I'm a Delaware resident, not familiar with Connecticut law. So I filled it out and I put my 2 sheds and my storage box and my golf cart on there, and I put the travel trailer on there. But the travel trailer was not there last year because of all the travel restrictions imposed by the governor of Connecticut. So we never got to Connecticut last year. And as I read the Connecticut statute, which I finally found, I only have to file personal property on that travel trailer if it is in the state of Connecticut for greater than 90 days. And I believe I gave you, or I quoted that portion of the statute in my filings. So I'm asking for the assessment to be amended. I have no problem with paying taxes on the 2 sheds and the storage box and the golf cart, but the travel trailer is not, has never been, and will never be in the state of Connecticut for greater than 90 days, especially now that I know the statute. So my that's my whole appeal. I would like that last year's assessment amended, and also I didn't know that it was mandatory to file by whenever it was, November 1st. Thank you. So because I didn't get the form until January, so I filed the form when I got the form.
That's odd. And it does the management of Laurel Ridge play a role in all this?
Well, I leased the lot from Laurel Ridge.
Yeah, I know how they handle the real estate and the buildings. So the mobile stuff, do they collect a list of the personal property, or is it really between you and the assessor?
Apparently it's between me and the assessor. I pay Laurel Ridge a fee, which includes $41 a year for the lot.
Right, yeah.
And then I have to file for the personal property, which are the 2 sheds, a storage bin, and the golf cart.
I think. So I'm Rebecca Hyde, by the way. I'm the chair of this little group. I don't think you have to pay personal property on, you do on mobile things, but for instance, I don't have to declare all the furniture in my house. You have to declare personal property that's being used in a business, is my understanding. And anything that's motorized is a sort of a separate category. So I think that, I think Cheryl, the assistant assessor, actually already said that you're not going to be taxed on the shed and all the rest of that. As for the trailer, we'll talk to the assessor, find out what's going on. It sounds like you have a reasonable complaint there.
The
Yeah,
trailer
like
is
I said,
registered in Delaware.
It is. It's titled in Delaware, licensed in Delaware, and when I'm not running around the country, stored in Delaware.
And had you had it up here other years and never been asked to pay taxes on it?
I had it up there I bought it in 2019, in February 2019. So I had it up there for 60, 70 days in 2019.
Mhm.
And then I towed it back to Delaware, and we go to Florida in the winter, which is where I am now. And so, like I say, we usually get up there about mid-June and we leave the first week in September. So we're there under 90 days. And like I said, as I read the statute, I don't have to declare that as personal property. So,
So there we are.
you know, if you could help me, what do I need to declare as personal property? Just the golf cart?
I don't even know about that, but we'll find out and let you know.
I appreciate that.
I'm sure too that Cheryl, the assistant in the assessor's office, could clarify things for you. So I don't know if you have her email or.
I can certainly get it if I don't have it.
Yeah, no, that's what she's there for, is to answer questions like that.
Okay. And so I have nothing else. I don't want to take up your time. What's your opinion on the outcome of this appeal?
Well, we're going to have to discuss it and make a decision, which we won't do at the moment.
Okay.
Probably sometime in the next few days, and then you'll hear from us within a week or two, most likely. We have to have everything out in the mail by the end of March, but we should probably do this. We'll probably get this done much quicker. You know, you're one of a group of appellants, so.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, if you could give me a hand and let me know what it actually is I have to file every year, I'd be more than happy to do that. I mean, I love going up there, and I just want to get it right. So.
Yeah, no, so, and I'm interested that you didn't get any form at all until January, so who knows? Yeah, anyway, we just have to go over, make sure we're not missing something, and then we'll make a decision and get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you
You're
for coming.
welcome. Thank you. I don't see anything in this package concerning the trailer.
Right, because he was on about other property, and then Cheryl sent me email about it, something about it. I really did, you know, the whole thing's a little strange, because as I said, you don't have to declare every single scrap of property you own. Although you'd think a shed, but a shed should come in as part of Laurel Ridge's real estate list, not as part of his personal list. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I wonder why Emily and Cheryl even like knew that they should send him a form. Seems kind of strange.
Well, I
Question.
wonder if he was assessed for 2019. And I think in one of the submissions, there was some comment that he'd had a different, like he'd had an RV kind of thing. That may have
Motorhome.
been parked on the property year round. And he switched to the trailer that he hauls around. And so, I don't know.
Which doesn't really affect us in particular,
No.
but might explain the form going out.
Yep.
In 2019, I traded the motorhome for the travel trailer. 2018 was on the site July and August with the motorhome, which I reported to the town. Okay, so that's probably what, why he was on their radar.
Yep.
Yeah. And here's Cheryl telling him, please be aware you are not assessed on your shed, storage bin, or golf cart and hand tools. You are only assessed on your camper. So she actually sent this to him.
Yep.
And also received a 25% on the camper assessment for filing late. So this leads us back to the question you had about whether or not he needed to do anything formal to get off the rolls when he sold his motorhome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which never, I didn't feel like that question really got answered.
No,
I
I
sup-
don't think it did either.
And it's almost like if you use the Woodstock Builders Forum as a model, on the
Yeah.
Woodstock Builders Forum, they had a list of stuff that they had gotten rid of during the year. So that, you know, this list of equipment we've sold, gotten rid of, whatever. This other list of equipment is what we have. And so when,
And that's maybe what they sent to him, something that said, you know, here's what we show you have. Please tell
Yep.
us if it's changed. That's not uncommon either. Although why that goes out in January seems a little strange.
well, you never know where the mail went. I mean, it's going to Delaware. And we had mail that, you know, express mail that took 2 weeks to get somewhere.
Or it could be that, you know, they went through all the personal property and then compared it to who declared the year before,
Yep.
found him missing, and then they sent him a form and said, what's up? See you, and then
He
we
does
have to,
list he
yeah,
does list the purchase price for the trailer. But
travel trailer, 34,000. Guess I won't
Which
be buying
is-
one of those soon.
that's about typical for that size.
Yeah, yeah. So my only question is the 90-day rule true? Because I don't see where,
That's it is in the statute. I stumbled across that when I was reading through the statute. I'll have to go back and find it again.
it's fun stumbling around the statutes, huh?
Well, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. Their search
Yeah,
feature,
but whenever
doesn't
you're
work.
whenever you're looking for one thing, you always find other interesting
Yeah.
tidbits.
Ooh,
Yep.
look at this.
Yeah. Uh,
well, what should our, for want of a better word, our game plan or project plan be? We've got all the appeals in front of us. Now we've got to maybe do some more research, maybe just flip a coin or whatever to decide.
Thank you. I'm not the only one who flips coins. Well, usually there are a few that seem perfectly straightforward and we just finish up, put them to rest. And then others need more attention. I can't say if anything's completely straightforward on this one. I mean, it seems like the little piece of property with a well on it should be straightforward, but we need to find out why it's not rated as unbuildable, how it got separated, if we want to be nice to her. I mean, it's not really our concern how it got separated, but it would be nice of us to find out.
Well, and I wondered about her just giving it to the abutter, but the abutter is the state of Connecticut. It's where they store all the salt and stuff, which is why you can't use the well anymore.
Which is why she can't use the well. Maybe she doesn't want to give it to the state of Connecticut.
Yep. Well, no, I mean, if it were, hadn't been the state of Connecticut, that might have been an easy solution, but she seems to be interested in it, if only for the historical connection to the building she has.
Yeah. Well, do we want to try to pin Emily down and meet with her, or do we want to delegate one or the two of you actually can do things together because you're both in the same party? Do we want to ask her questions one by one? You know, I thought it'd be nice if we met with her because so that you could see what she looks like and, you know, we could all hear her answers at the same time, but.
Well, I think,
Do you want
My
to
fir-
get together tomorrow night and review what we've looked at in the last 2 nights and then go from there?
Yeah, or I could spend
Decide our
another,
direction tomorrow night?
I could spend another
All
20
set.
minutes tonight.
Yeah, because we've got that freedom of information thing training.
Where and when is that?
It's
Uh,
a Zoom
tomorrow at
call at
7.
7.
Yeah. Not sure I'll go. He'll also record it, you know, so that if we wanted to use that time, we could watch a recording later. But first of all, do we want to keep going tonight for a little while?
I'm happy to. If there's something we can decide, we can check that off.
Yeah, or we can just make a list of what information we need.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Ron?
I'm good.
All right.
So you
So,
want to go back to the last night's?
yeah, let's start at the beginning and make a list of what's going on. So Thomas Redding, Emily said she would go inspect his attic and his fireplaces. I just have to tell Cheryl to schedule her to do that. Y'all comfortable with that?
Yes. What happens then if Emily goes and says, oh, yes, this is an unfinished attic, it shouldn't be one code, it should be another code. And oh, yes, you don't have any fireplaces. Do we have to approve his appeal?
Yeah, she'll come back to us and say, you know, here's a card where I made those 2 adjustments and now instead of X, it reads Y.
Yeah.
And if we're satisfied with that, we'll approve it, write that down as the change, and that'll go on through the grand list.
Okay.
So that's the easy one. Okay, so that's that one. Now, the next one is Doug Porter.
Hang on a minute, let me catch up. Redding assessor will look at property.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, in my time as on this board, we have never forgiven anybody for missing a deadline. Because
We have never what? Could you repeat that?
forgiven anybody for missing a deadline.
All
This
right.
has come up with open space and it's come up with personal property. And the rationale has been that once you forgive one person, you ought to forgive everybody, and you can't start letting people be lax on when they get their paperwork in. So that's the argument on one side. I'll let you make arguments on the other side if you want.
If that is true, then I agree with you 100%. You know, the circumstances over the last 12 months have certainly been different. But if it's the rule, it's the rule.
Yeah, I suppose in the interest of disclosure, I'd have to say I'm a client of Doug Porter's company. He takes care of my generator for me.
You're
and I guess-
worried he'll come back and mess with your generator?
Well, it's not working right
They'll put
now.
water in the gas.
It's not working right now, sorry.
But I worry about setting precedents because, you know, I think if we chose to be kind to people this year because this past 12 months has been so crazy, I think most people would appreciate that it was a unique set of circumstances. But also, Doug also admitted that it may have sat in his inbox for a while. And my suspicion is that has more to do with the delay than all the other stuff he talked about.
And the hurricane was in August. Was it in August? Yeah.
Well, and his,
You say yes.
I think it's his sister-in-law, Deb, that does most of the shuffling after the papers and stuff, and she manages the office. And she is very much on top of everything. So my suspicion is it sat in Doug's inbox.
And the money just goes to support the town, you know, so. It's a big penalty. Did you see how much?
It's 25% of, is it 25% of the amount due or 25% increase in the assessment?
I think of the amount due.
Yeah, that would make a little more common sense.
Well, and it is
Proportionally, it would work out the same, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a trick question.
But I can completely agree that, yes, that it was a crazy year, and yes, we had a big storm and all that, but still, everybody has to stick to deadlines because that's, there's a ripple effect if you start waiving things.
All right, I'm gonna write down that we're gonna deny that, but we're not gonna finalize this because I have to figure out how we're gonna handle the paperwork. Because on the bottom of the appeal, you'll see there's an appeal summary. And you can fill in your information and then everybody can sign it, which is how we used to do it. And then last year, Emily gave us a separate form to use to mail to the applicant. And I have to find out where that form is and decide if we're going to use it. So we can deal with that at our next meeting and move on to this lovely mixture of Bungay and Witch's Wood.
I went and found the case, the Satcham's Head case,
Mhm.
down
Yeah,
in Guilford. It was in 1983.
yeah.
And when you read the judge's opinion, it's clear that they said the judge was opining, and they referenced a lot of case law, prior cases, that because the properties in question were not available to the general public, they should not be exempt. So that leads me to think that the Witches Woods folks who were saying the roads are available to the public and they maintain them, therefore those roads should be exempt.
Mhm.
And I sort of think that's a reasonable argument. Now for the
If
other,
you look, go ahead, sorry.
well, in the other pieces of property, the issue, they seem to be relatively okay with paying something, but they thought the property codes that were being used weren't quite right. And I think there's some logic there too. And that may be one where we need to talk with Emily because she used that open space 63 Lake. And they came up with one that was even cheaper.
Well, and I've never seen an open space 63 lake. I mean, I've never seen a lake classification on anywhere when I was studying open space. And I mean, I got a big beaver pond and that's on my property taxes.
What's the
It's
rate?
not- It's
What's
not
it?
under a swamp because if you look at the open space classifications around town, they're a complete mess. I think mine is probably woodland and there's no trees on the majority of the property. And yeah, people just randomly, or they put it in pasture and since then it's turned into forest and nobody cleans it up because there's so little money involved. And your lake may have been a swamp, but then after 40 years of steady silting, it may actually have turned into a really nice quality tillable bee. So that's kind of a crazy rabbit hole to go down.
One difference between Bungay and Witches Woods,
Yeah.
when you drive into Bungay property,
Mhm.
into Lion Road, there's a sign, members and guests only.
Okay.
And there is no sign at Witches Woods of any kind.
Things you know. Well, and that argument to me is so-so. I mean, if I built a path across my property and didn't bother people that wanted to walk across it, they would still be taxing me on that path, I was more interested in the question, and I didn't get into any of the paperwork really of. So the town doesn't see it as one big parcel for, my property is 14 acres and it includes the beaver pond. But it sounded like they actually have, maybe the lake is a separate parcel and the back of the dam is a separate parcel and the roads are a separate parcel. So I kind of wonder how it got broken up into all these different parcels, because that's a whole different valuation question than, for instance, myself with one big parcel,
Well, and I went out to the DCOG site and searched by the map book and lot number.
Yeah.
And I was particularly interested in looking at the property around the dam. And it's separate parcels. There's a parcel that's basically, it must be the downhill slope of the dam. That's one long
Yeah.
skinny parcel. And then in the swampy area, he talked about that surrounds the Bungee Brook when after it's come over the spillway out of their dam. That's a different parcel.
Okay. So
And I think
the-
they're mentioned. I didn't get back to cross-reference them with the references they had on each of their appeals.
Right, the course of the brook. And of course, the backside of the dam, I was thinking, yeah, you can't sell it, but it's kind of really valuable to you.
Yep. Well,
Uh,
and their dam is a long, skinny one, because you always sort of think that the water ought to come out of the skinny point of the lake, but it actually comes out kind of up on the side of Witch's Wood.
wow, we might have to go on a hike and inspect the
Well,
whole thing.
Crooked Trail Road runs along the top of the dam to almost to the spillway.
Huh, interesting.
I was trying to think. Let me see if I've got that open. Whoops. Let's see if I can share my screen. Oops.
It's working, John.
Pardon? Can you
It
see this?
says, here it is.
I can
Yes.
see that.
This is a parcel I just used to find the others, but
Yeah.
this little piece is this is the brook. And this is the skinny piece. The spillway is right there.
Is this
right
part
there.
of Witch's Wood?
Witch's Wood is to the right.
Okay, so this would be on the Witch's Wood.
This is the southwest side.
Okay, and let me
And see,
pull up.
this is Crooked Trail Road. Let me make this smaller.
Let me pull up the, okay, so they did 5787 3400.
See, here's 5787 34 10A. That's the swampy stuff that floods. And then this 57 34 11 is this skinny piece that's basically the backside of the dam.
Okay. So the dam, you're right, kind of runs towards 198 and gets caught in that swamp there.
Yep. See if I can switch to.
Now, let me see. Oh, right, they did 5 of these.
Yeah.
And you're on.
And I didn't look to see where the others were. I was just intrigued by the dam.
Yeah, 3411 is definitely one of them. That's the back of the dam he was saying.
Yeah, it's the back of the dam, and it's long skinny piece that runs
Yeah.
along this Crooked Trail Road.
Yep. And what kind of a value did they put on it? Let's see.
Well, it's an acre, so the
It's an acre, and I think she valued it at she valued it at $1,100.
okay, I'm gonna stop sharing here so we get rid of that.
How she came up with 1,100, I don't know. Because an additional acre on vacant residential would usually be unit price 3,500. Then there's an I factor and an acre disc and a C factor, and that's all a bit mysterious. So I guess my question on this is how did the town come up with $1,100? I need to write that down somewhere. Let's see, how about over here? Yeah, so we need to keep track of these by their map and lot number. Well, do you think they're right that this should be valued at 0? Because that's what they want.
I don't know that 0 is the right number because it has value. I mean, it's their dam. Now
But they couldn't sell it if they wanted to. It
that's
has no
true.
market value, but it does have value as okay, because property is valued either at market or at the cost of creating it. It's probably cost more than $1,100 to create the thing.
Well, and there's other parcels on top of the dam because you may have noticed there's a couple of houses that are in essence on the dam.
So 1,100 in some ways is cheap.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, it'd be interesting to know where they came up with 1,100. We're probably leaning towards no change on that one. Can you pull up any of the other parcels?
I didn't.
All right. We might want to do that at some point.
Yeah, though now I've forgotten the number, but one of them parcels was as adjacent to that skinny one. That was basically the drainage area from around the brook.
Now, what did you think about their argument that the value of the lake is imputed to the waterfront properties around it?
I wasn't so sure about that one.
You're impressed?
Well, I mean, I
That was an
followed
interesting point, but
I followed the logic they were using, but I'm not sure that's persuasive on why it shouldn't have its own unique value.
yeah.
But I don't know why calling it, well, and I guess I'm sort of curious about that category of 63 lake. Because clearly a lake is better than, I think Mike wanted to use a classification that was a mix of swamp and ledge. And
Yep.
That's
Because
clearly not,
that's what used to be under the lake.
that what used to be under the lake. And obviously a
Yeah.
lake has more value than swamp and ledge.
True.
Very true.
My beaver pond is more valuable than the swamp that was there. It has beavers. So I want to know the history.
Well, and I wonder if Emily just went through a bunch of stuff, looked, had somebody do some research to see, are there any parcels that we're not billing for?
Oh, yeah, totally. She seems to be doing a lot of that. Wherever she can find a scrap to add, I think she feels it's part of her job, or it gives her job security. I'm not sure which.
Well, I would think it's part of her job.
Do we care that if this one stands, we'll probably have, Quasit and Muddy Brook and everybody else coming to us sooner or later?
Probably.
Well, in some ways, Witch's Wood and Bungee are different from Quasit and Roseland and Black Pond, because each of the Bungee and Witch's Wood, as I understand it, are completely surrounded by land that's part of their respective associations.
So the real comparable one would be Quasit.
Does Quasit have stuff on the, what is it, the west side or the north side? There aren't very many houses on the other side.
That is the west side, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because there's Quasit Road and West Quasit Road.
Right.
And there are a lot of houses on Quasit Road and then the little side roads off of Quasit Road. But there's very few houses on the other side of the lake. So I haven't looked at that, looked it up to see who owns it.
I was going to say, I think the real issue is who owns the lakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily affect our decision on this, but it seems like it might.
Well, and Roseland's probably an easier one because you've got Roseland Park. There's probably a third or maybe even half of the shoreline of the lake. But then you've got a whole raft of other people that make up the rest of the shoreline of the lake. All the people in, what was it, Williamsville or whatever, Woodland Drive and so on off of Senexit. You've got people that are directly off Senexit that have lakefront. You've got people off of Roseland Park Road like Bet Zimmerman's preserve. And then people.
Yeah, and it may actually be divided up in some way. Because again, my beaver pond is actually divided up on several different properties.
Oh,
According to the expanse of the water runs across property boundaries. So, but the property boundaries that definitely cover 3 different people own part of the water. Okay. Now we'll come back to the lakes, the roads. Bungay, it seemed like they weren't talking about the lake or anything else. All they cared about was, she seemed to indicate they were already paying taxes on the roads. And she didn't want to pay taxes again on the roads, which didn't make a lot of sense to me.
well, when she said,
It's separate from the issue of paying town taxes for roads in town, because that's a whole separate issue. But it
yeah, well, I
sounded to
think that's
me,
where she was headed. I
yeah, I don't
wasn't,
think she was all that clear, but
yeah.
yeah,
Excuse me for 1 minute.
yeah.
Well, it's the top of the hour anyway. Did you want to
Uh,
quit or not?
That's up to you. I could keep going a little while longer. I think with Bungay, the only thing we need is to be clear about how the roads are taxed. And then we can make a decision about whether they're taxed right or not. Because at this point, I'm not really clear how they're taxed. So,
Well, and when she was, Juliet, I guess it was talking about it, I think she was using the word tax to represent the fees that the residents pay. Maybe, Ron, maybe you were following her chain of thought. I certainly wasn't very well.
Well, I'm going to be honest with both of you. The fact that I am a landowner here, property owner, I'm going to recuse myself from this case. I think it's in my best interest if I do.
you don't have to vote on it, but if you want to add any comments, that's fine. I mean, you're not going to influence us in any nefarious way that I'm aware of. I think on the lakes, I want to take some time tomorrow by myself to kind of do some research and get a little more clarity on what I understand, what I don't understand. You want to just quickly go through tonight's and then we'll quit?
Sure.
I can remember what we talked about already tonight.
Well, just the 3 of them. One was the attorney, the former B&B,
Yeah.
and she's got all the comps. The other one was the orphan property, and then the travel camper.
Yeah, okay.
I think in the case of the travel camper, that may be the easiest one. It wasn't here.
It wasn't here, as long as that 90-day rule thing, and you said you saw that, so that one's gonna be,
I think we grant his appeal.
yeah, I think that one's
Yeah.
about done. The case of the little scrap of property, John, do you want to call P&Z and ask them what they know about how that got cut off?
Sure. I can do that.
Just, that's more doing a favor to her, is just to find out the answer to.
I wonder if,
I mean, it seems to me pretty clear that we just need to find out from Emily if there isn't a better valuation for it than what she slapped on it.
if at one point Route 198 was not a state road, it was a town road. And then when it became a state road,
It got cut.
she was not allowed to run a pipe under a state road for her water, their water supply, not hers, but whoever the owner was at the time. And that's how it got separated.
Kind of doubt it, because she kind of indicated that they stopped using that well when it got contaminated with salt, and that was after the state road went in.
True.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it just seems to me like it ought to come down, because there's not much she can do with that thing. It's not, it shouldn't be valued like any other buildable lot.
No.
So, yeah. So I don't think that'll take a lot of research, but we do gotta have to talk to Emily about that one. And what's the third one? Oh, yeah, and I need to talk to Emily, or one of us does, about how they, whether that valuation was based on it being a B&B.
Yep.
Because it could have been.
As a business.
Otherwise, I have to say, she's the only person in 8 or 9 years that's brought comps that were from the year of the revale. So, so it worked. Because last year, John, we put, I wrote up a note to anybody appealing about how the process actually works, because people were always coming in with no idea that it was all about the revale valuation. So
Yep.
it was, helps. All right, well, I don't think we can do much else. We'll see what Emily says. If we can meet with her, all three of us, that would be nice. If not,
Yes, it would.
one of us will do it with her one-on-one.
Okey dokes.
Sound good?
Good night, all.
So we on for tomorrow evening?
I'll be back at 6 tomorrow if you will be.
So we will meet again tomorrow evening.
Yep.
Yeah, and we'll see how we're doing. If we're doing something fascinating, might have to miss the freedom of information, and if not, we'll adjourn and go to that. So,
Oh, freedom's
I don't know.
tonight, isn't it?
I don't know anything about this freedom of information gathering.
sent you an email today. Crystal had forwarded me something a while ago and then forwarded it to me again today, and I forwarded it on to you. So when you check your emails, you'll see there's a Zoom meeting with, I think, a lawyer present to, it's open to members of all the boards and commissions to sit down and really get your head around what we're allowed to say to each other and what we're not, and when, and all that good stuff.
And I was thinking that
Do
was
you have a
tonight.
meeting? Is there a meeting ID number and a passcode for that FOI?
I think so. Let me see. And emails. Oh
Oh, it is Wednesday evening. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's at 7. I know that. Yeah, I wonder where it went.
I think it was way down near the bottom because I picked the numbers off that email.
Quick note. No, that's not it. Ah, there it is, 802. Attached is the flyer for the FOIA workshop. Can you please share with your committee? So there ought to be an attachment.
What you forwarded did not have an attachment.
Yeah, let me see if I can. Oh yeah, but you and I had this problem before, John, where you don't get attachments from me for some reason.
Yes. Some mysterious gremlin in the email system cuts the attachments off.
Yeah, and this is a PDF, so I can't just cut and paste, but I can do it by eye. Okay, so I'm going to send you to an email and just give you the Zoom link so you have it. Unless, Ron, you'd rather I just read it to you.
That would be easier.
Okay. All right, so the Zoom link, the meeting ID is
Yes.
813-6327-7219.
813-6327-7219.
And the passcode is 386553.
386-553. Very good.
Yeah, I didn't know that there's such a thing as Zoom bombing, where people show up and become obscene in your Zoom meetings just for the fun of it.
That happened early on in the pandemic when Zoom first became widely used. There
Yeah,
were people showing up at Board of Ed meetings and, school classes and all that kind of stuff, and playing porn and all that kind of stuff. So Zoom quickly put out some instructions and upgrades to their software to make it easier to shut those people down.
give you a passcode and don't put it on a public space, evidently was the big one. Boy, the place I worked for in Oxford, the ambulance company, just was taken over by ransomware. So that's taken a few days to sort out.
Oh, wow.
How does Zoom make their money?
Zoom,
Well,
yeah, you'd say.
They sell a license.
Okay.
So the town is paying for it.
Town is paying, you can get a free
This is-
license, but your call drops in 40 minutes.
All right.
And they have add-ons, like you can, for a little extra money, you can do a webinar with several hundred people on it and have breakout rooms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like the town should do a town meeting that way. Because last year the budget sailed through with very little scrutiny and borrowed, what, 700,000 from the savings account? So. So I don't know what they're gonna do this year, but we might want to have a town meeting this year. I don't know. After they sort out the treasurer situation. Okay, anyway, not 7:10. I think we're adjourning. Shall we adjourn?
Yes.
Yes. All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow night.